All right, so Darwin started noticing a lot of variation. And let me tell you, birds, I mean, you could see some variation amongst birds. Well, this thing's just going crazy, isn't it? You could see some variation amongst birds. So we're going to look at the crop and tail feathers of these birds. And I mean, just look at this crop here, this crop, and I guess it's here, right? It's hard to even see. And then the tail plumage. And different birds have different crops and different tail feathers and different neck feathers, and it's all for a reason, right? If they're domesticated animals, animals in close contact with humans, that reason might be artificial, which means maybe we just like birds that have this giant throat thing or this giant tail feather, and that's why we breed them because they sell for lots and lots of money, and people pay money to buy birds with big tail feathers. Like, I'm not a tail feather kind of guy, I can't judge, but I'm simply saying maybe there are people who like that. This is more true for dogs. Like, purebreds, in the most part, are very bad for dogs. Dogs are genetically better not being purebred, but people like purebred dogs, so they pay for them. Uh, and for those of you who own pugs, pugs are a genetic disaster, and but they sell for a lot of money, so we keep them around. And they're cute. Let's not underestimate that. So, natural selection. Okay, natural selection is how nature picks adaptations that are better for an environment. And the idea being natural selection will allow organisms with more beneficial adaptations to have more babies, more offspring than others. So if you're better, you'll have more babies. According to natural selection, that is how it would work. And we're only talking about things that can be passed down, things that have heritability. Okay, if someone works out a lot and looks great and makes them in a better situation for them to be able to have more babies, terrific. But that will not be passed down. It has to be something genetic that can be passed from one organism to the next. And what what is most beneficial should show up as organisms struggle to survive overpopulation and limited resources. So they'll survive the idea that there's too many people and not enough of everything. And these adaptations don't just come from one day to the next, they kind of come little by little by little. So, in order to get these variations that are useful, in order to get an organism that is more beneficial and more likely to survive and reproduce, you need certain things to occur. And so these are the four main principles of natural selection. You need these things for natural selection to work. If you don't have these things, then in general, natural selection cannot happen. Variation. We can't all be the same. Some of us have to be different. Overproduction. We have to have more babies than can survive in a given environment. Humans do not have overproduction. I know it feels like we have too many people, but you'd be surprised. We really don't. We just have too many people to live the way we're living, but we do not have too many people that can be sustained by the environment. That's different. Okay. Some of the characteristics that the differences are going to be better for the environment, and some of these differences are not going to be better, and some will be worse, right? And then the last piece of this for natural selection is the organisms with the better variations need to be able to pass those variations to the next generation. So we're different. There's plenty of us. Some of us have differences that are better, and those differences can be passed on. If you get all four of those, you get natural selection. And then you're going to hear something about fitness. I don't want you to think about fitness in terms of like, oh, I'm physically fit, I run every day, or anything like that. Fitness is how many babies you have. The more babies you have, the more fit you are in relation to everybody else. If everyone has two babies and you have 10, you are more fit than they are. If everyone has two babies and you have none, biologically speaking, you are less fit than they are. Okay, this is not society I'm talking about. This is straight biology. So natural selection can only act on things that exist. Okay, not on potential exist or whatever.